Of the 30,000 people who live in St Anne's, about 8,000 are children. Their schools try to give them glimpses of a different world.
Now, when Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea, in the days of Herod the king, behold, there came wise men from the east to Jerusalem.
Well, of course, we do find certain difficulties with some of these children that wouldn't be apparent in other areas, but I would like to make it quite clear that any difficulties we do find apply to only a certain proportion of these children and not to all. We do have children from very nice homes where the background is completely satisfactory. Regarding the difficulties, we do have the odd one who's not toilet trained. We find little puddles on the floor which need to be wiped up, and we have those that are sick, of course, and that has to be dealt with. We do have to keep a supply of odd pants and these things that need to be applied when we've had an accident. We find communications quite difficult. These mothers in crowded circumstances must find it very difficult after they've bathed the family in a tin bath, which has to be kept on an outside wall and has to be filled with water from the copper or from a saucepan. They can't have much energy or enthusiasm for a bedtime story or even a communication at child level, and this we find is quite difficult. We have to establish a relationship before we can start at all. We try to give these children emotional security and establish a contact between teacher and child. And any teacher who can write in her daily report, "Today William smiled at me," has probably achieved as much as a teacher who could write, "Today Johnny did 5 pages of sums." We sometimes find their imaginative play quite lacking. You can listen into their conversation and find that a lot of their expression comes from their home circumstances. They'll be the mother and they'll look after their little ones, but their experiences are so few that they don't know how to expand. We find their imaginative writing quite inhibited, and we really have to slog away at this one and provide them with situations, the fairy stories, and we read poems to them and put them into imaginary situations and discuss this one and encourage their imagination in this way. We provide them with a lot of the community play toys and things that they can use where they wouldn't really have space in their own homes to use these things. Sometimes we find little girls and little boys are quite a long time in the toilet, and when we go to investigate, we find that they're just sitting there, and we think perhaps this is a place where they go to be quiet. It's a nice little house where they can shut the door and be entirely alone, and I think this is perhaps the reason why they stay there. They have to be encouraged to come out and told that this is not the most desirable of places in which to meditate. We were quite horrified on one occasion when we went out to find they had never seen sheep or cows or horses. They were amazed at the trees. We once combed the school and took to the seaside everybody who hadn't been. This was quite an experience. When we put them on the sand, they wanted to know who'd made it, who put it there, where did it come from, how deep it was, what you did with it, what was it made of, what was all that water, what could you do with that?